And welcome once again. Please like and subscribe. I'm the database guy, and this is your course in Access SQL Server database development. And whether you're using Access as a backend to host your tables or you're using SQL Server, it doesn't matter. Today, I'm just going to open up my Access database here. Let's get rid of this one. Whoops, sorry. Oh, doesn't like it, does it? Uh, okay. And I want to keep this open. This is our, no, not this one. You want to get the front end open, which is important to us, and that is here. Excellent. Okay. Let's see if we have any forms. We do. We're going to get rid of those too. I don't want, actually, this was some testing that was being done. And let's see, any queries in here? Yeah, we'll get rid of those too. Let's get rid of all of them, just so we can start from scratch. Hang on. Okay. And so what we're going to learn today, forms. We're starting our first video on forms. What's a form? I mean, what is a form? If I were to really describe that to you, why use them in Access? What are they? When an end user, when somebody wants to communicate with data in the database, they do not go, and I stressed this very importantly in earlier videos, they do not go into the tables and they do not do anything there directly. You don't want that because it's too much flexibility. You can lose data and you can lock up data. So in forms, and you can do many things with this. I made a mistake here. Boy, I just noticed it between date and data. There we go. Whew, okay. So you can do things with it. You can add data in a form, right? You could add it. You could edit data using a form. You could delete data, and I got question marks there. Got to be very careful. You really don't want to delete any data. There's a good reason for it. Now, we saw this in our earlier example database. If we delete an author, or more to the point, a publisher, all the books will go because of our connection to the books table and the relationship which has to establish referential integrity. You can't orphan data. And so if we were to delete just the publisher and leave the books, we would have orphan data. It's no way. It doesn't do that. You don't want to do that. You wipe it all out, but then you really shouldn't. There's no need to delete data. And we're going to find out what's going to happen and how you can avoid deleting data. The only time that I'm going to tell you that you can delete data is when you're dealing with what I call temp tables or worksheet tables. It's the same thing. You're setting up a table to fill in information for an end user, and then the end user decides whether they're going to append that to the main table, thus adding a record or records, or updating the data in a table. You might also want to search for data or display data, or you may have to have functionality like a menu or navigation control. You're going to see that. In other words, every database typically has some means of connecting to all of the forms or all of the functionality, really. And that could be, and way back in the day, it was called a switchboard, and I don't like it. A switchboard was nothing more than a form set up such that it accessed other forms. I don't care for it. The new way to do it is a navigational control, which works really, really well. And you have tabs and so on, and it's more intuitive to the end user. The other possibility you can have is a customized ribbon, but it's not a form, a customized ribbon. Therefore, not here. There are three ways to create a form, okay? One of them is a blank form in design view. Another one is from a table, and there's, of course, the wizards. And all of what we're going to see here right now, since we're not into VBA just yet, remember, VBA comes after reports, and that's going to be an enormous part of this course. It's going to be an important one. I think you're going to like that a lot because VBA is designed to make it easy for you and for anyone to develop. Okay, so let us go to our database. Okay, we said there were 3 ways. If we go into create, there's actually 4 options, as you can see here, but there's 3 of them here. All right, we're going to go to forms. Let's see if we get the 4th one to pop up. No, we don't. Not here. How does that one pop up? Here we go. Let's see if we're in queries, anything, nothing in queries. We're going to go to tables. We're going to select our books table. And there you just saw it highlighted. Well, when I click on that, what it does is it uses a wizard to populate information. And it's really poor because in our table books, all right, we see, right, we see the ISBN, the title, the year, and the publisher. When we open up this here, we're seeing author numbers. What it did is it threw every single author number down below here in a subform. And that's what it is, it's a subform. And it's a subform in what we call data sheet view. Looks like, let's go back to authors again, right? Looks like a data sheet view, what we're in here. This is design view, of course, and we can't design, remember this, because we're linked. These are all linked tables here. But in any event, it's a very poor way to do this. And I'm going to show you one other reason why. We're going to right click on this. We could do that, go to design view, or we could go here to design view, whatever your pleasure is. Come here and select one of our controls. These things are called controls. What you're seeing here are text boxes, I should say. And you can right click and change them to a label, to a list box, to a combo box. You can do that. I'm not going to change them to anything right now, but I'm going to come into my properties. I'm going to do that again. It'll close it. Right click and go to properties right here. You're going to see a property sheet with tabs, format, data. Our data tells us what our control source is. That is what's going to, a control source will populate data for that control from whatever our source is, and I'm going to show you what that is in a moment. Without that, let's just take this for a minute and see what happens. Get rid of the control source. It's an unbound. What an unbound means is it's not bound to any control or any field from the source. Go back and put that in. Let's go to all and scroll up to the top of all. When we go to all, we're going to see the name of our control. Notice our name of our control is field ISBN, and the control name, source rather, is the same thing. The control source is the field. So they've named the control the same thing as the field. And there's a danger here for what's called a circular reference. This is very, very bad. Very, very bad. All right, now we are going to, and here you can see, if I drop this down, I am looking at everything that is a control or an object of that form. You can see we have the title, the year. Let's go to form. All right. And the other way to do that is to go up here on this little black square, right click and go to properties. It's going to go away. I'm going to right click again and bring it back up. And you're going to see we're in form. This is all the properties of the form that we're working with. All right. And right now we're in all. If we go to format, we could format the form. We're not concerned with that here, but we go into data. And the source of this is table books. It's a table. Your source of any form can be either a table, a query, or a select statement. Now we're going to go in here for a minute. All right. And just to show you, let's see. In here, we're going to go into the 3 ellipses here. All right, to build. If you drop this down, by the way, you can select something else to be your source. That's all it is. It's a drop down. You invoke the query builder. Yes, we want to build. And we come in here, right? Now we're going to select these fields, all of them. Okay. We're going to close this down by hitting the X and say yes. And now we have a select statement. Remember when we were looking at queries? A query is a select statement. Or really, that's what it is. We're selecting fields from a particular table. So we have the 4 fields we're selecting from a table. That's a second way you could have a record source. We're going to do one more. Come back into our query builder. We're going to look at the top. So we've got view, run, select, crosstab. You know, you wouldn't have any source set up in something other than probably a select query. You could have a union or a pass through. It's possible. You could add tables. If you hit the add tables here, we get the add tables and we can drag them, drop, and basically create a query into our add tables. So for example, let's try here. Let's bring in our publishers. All right, and we're going to create our link here. And we'll have the publisher name, the address, the city, and the state. And is there a zip? I believe there is. And there is. We'll bring the author, book authors, and the authors in. We'll connect that information as well. We're going to drop this down here a little bit. Sometimes you got to be creative. Connect here as well, and we're going to have our author in there as well. We're going to run it just to see what that looks like. It's going to give us everything we want. Is it updatable? And actually it is. It is updatable, which is interesting. We're not grouping or anything like that, so it should be updatable. We're going to go to design view, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to, now we did this add tables here. Inserting rows in the builder, let's see what the builder does. It brings up field author because we're on field author in the builder. Wherever our icon is, we could add some or insert some rows, insert columns, delete columns, and so on. We won't get into any of that now, but the Save As button, we're going to call this query, and we're going to call this books. All right. So now, when I close this, I X out of it. Yeah, I want to save it. I do. If I don't, I'll lose it. So when I right-click on my square box for my form, I'll now see a query is now the record source. So we've seen here how the record source for a form can be either a table, a select statement, or a query. We're going to close this one. Do you want to save the changes? We're going to say no. We don't want to save that. Let's go to forms and make sure it's gone, and it's not there. So the first one takes some sort of object and it makes a form out of it. And it populates it in such a way, which is to do that. Same thing happens here with Form Wizard. I can grab that and go to, now I can go to Query Books and grab the whole kit and caboodle here. You can use a double arrow to get everything out or in, or you could just use a single arrow to bring in what you want. All right. And then we have a way of looking at this. So let's try datasheet, what looks like a table. And then here, we're going to call this one. Now, see, it took it from Query Books, and it named it Query Books, or it was trying to. We're going to name this Form Books, and we're going to finish off on that. And let's see, it will open it, or it should open it. And it did. We're in a form, believe it or not. We're going to right-click, or actually, we're going to come up here and go to Design View. And when you look at it here, it looks very different than what you just saw. Let us go and right-click again on our properties here for our form. Go to Format. Notice, datasheet's the default. Well, let's try Form View instead. Let's try single form, not continuous. Now, I'll get to those later, what they are. And in this case, too, let us, you see here, allow form view, yes. Excuse me. Let us take no for our layout view and let us, whoop, it didn't do it. Let's try it again. No for the layout view, and of course, no for our datasheet view. Good. Let's now go and let's see, under form design, right? Go to Form View, and here's what we have. Now, what you see here, okay, is just say Record Selector here. We don't generally, I don't like them. We don't care for them. Again, you'll notice here that we have, and I'll get to why these are here on this one. And they are, as you can see, right, under, um, it's what it is it's basically, it's a sliding, you have horizontal and vertical, what I would call selectors, and they happen to be the new way that Access has done it. They place them in a control, which I don't care for. Don't worry about it right now. You see here that we have the title, the year. It's giving us a publisher ID. We don't really need that. Giving us the publisher, address, city, state, zip code, and the author name. Now notice everything that it placed over here, with exception for these first four, is all the field names. Let's go to our table for our books. Let's go to Design View. I want to show you where this is coming. Oh, we can't do it. Well, we can look at it. We can't touch it. You will notice I've put captions in. Remember we had the captions in for these here? All right, the captions became the names of the captions in here. Let us right-click on here, go to Design View. Again, right-click on any control, Properties, go to All. Notice again, once again, look what it did. Field name is the same thing as control name. This is very poor, very bad. We don't like it. Can you, maybe the question would be asked, to simply change those names? Yeah, you can change those control names. Go right ahead and do it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's completely legitimate. Personally, I don't care for it. For me, I want to know what I'm controlling when I'm controlling it, or what I'm creating when I'm creating it for a control. That's what I meant. So, and what's going to happen with VBA code, by the way, is I'm not going to, well, do it now. I guess I can show it quickly for you. But if I create some sort of event, say an on-click event, and I'll do that again, select those ellipses and hit the code. That's VBA code. We don't want macro. We don't want expression. The VBA code is a code builder. You'll notice it put the field name in as the control name for the event. That's your first look at VBA. So it's bad. It's bad in that way. So what do you do? What do you do? What can you do? Well, you can, as I said, you can, if you wish. No forms are here. Actually, forms books is here. It is here. We didn't save it, but it kept it. What you can do is you can change those control names to what will be suitable for you. One more thing before I delete this. We have no subform here because we put everything in, all these fields in. Remember when we did the create, we had a subform. You're going to learn what a subform is. All right, so we come to the third option, and that's either blank form. Let's see what happens. It's a blank form. And what you can do is you can select, let's see. Can we do it? Do we have the query still here? Yeah, it's still here. It lists the tables, but it doesn't list, let's say, the queries, all right? And you could edit these tables, but of course we can't do that now because we don't have that capability. We go to View and we go to Design View. And now if I right-click here and I go to Properties, I go to Data. Remember this data source we talked about? I could put query books in there as my data source. I can also go to Query Books here, go right into the query itself that's been designed, which I think I'm going to, whoops, sorry, let's try that again. Go into the three ellipses, it'll open it up. Let's see. So let's get rid of. Let's see. We've got ISBN, title, year, publisher. Okay, so the foreign key. We don't need the foreign key here. We can get rid of this. That's where we get the ID there. Let's see. And the author. Okay. So if we hit save here, we're going to actually change that query. So bear in mind, if you're editing a query through a form, you'll change it. We're actually doing it through a form, but you're doing it through the form properties. You will change it. So we have to think the thing of the first few things we need to do. And that would be data entry, right? So query books may not be what we need. That could be great for displaying data, but for data entry, let us go in. Let's see, let us bring in, we're going to close the property sheet for a moment. All right. We're going to go to our links. We're going to have books. And I think we're going to have, let's see. This publisher is a one-to-many with it. We should put publisher next to it. Double click or drag that in. Because we can only select one publisher per book, right? So we're going to connect that to our PID. The other thing we're going to need, I think it's just books authors at this point. And there's a good reason why. Books authors here, you may say, well, wait a minute, what are you doing here? I need to have access to the author ID. What I'm going to do here is move these just for logistics here. Make it look nice. So we have our ISBN, we have our title, our year. And if I'm thinking about data entry or how I'm going to do this, I don't even need table publishers here. And you'll see why. Because what I'm going to do is have a drop down on my main menu. I'm going to connect the selected item to the control source for the publisher foreign key. So whatever I select becomes the foreign key for that field. So I will need the foreign key, but you won't see it. On the other side to it, for the sake of the subform I'm going to need for authors, I'm going to need the author's ID to connect with that subform in table books, auctions. And then, let me think here. So the foreign key is not an issue because I can populate that. I could populate that as well. I'm just thinking here. So what I'm going to do is I would enter an ISBN, a title, a year. I would select a publisher, and then I need to select authors. And in the subform, that ISBN will automatically be populated for each entry I add or select, okay? So we're going to take this and we're going to, and again, we have a save as here. Now, when you create a query anywhere, you can have a save as. We're going to call this query books data entry, DE. However you want to do that. It's a select query. It doesn't matter, but it should have some kind of way that it is connected. And it asks you, do you want to save the changes? You say yes. So here we are. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our form design. We have our controls up here. There's a little drop down here, and you can see all your controls. And by the way, the controls wizard is automatically selected. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick up a label. That's a label, and we're going to bring it in here. And we're going to call this one books data entry. And now this is kind of not how we want to see this. We go to our home key. Let's center it, hitting the center button here. Let's look at our font here. So maybe we bring up to 20. Okay. We can then bring this up here to center it vertically, which is good. We can also bold it, hitting the bold. We can italicize it if we want or not. We could underline it if we wanted. We could change the color if we wanted of the font. So let us say we wanted, oh, I don't know, deep blue. There's one more thing. This is a control. We're going to right click on this one, go to properties. It says label 0 is our name. We're going to change that to LBL data entry DE main. Gives us some idea of what it is. And there's one other thing, as you noticed here. Notice there's if you see that, there is a border around it. Let's go to Format. Okay. We go to Backstyle, which is transparent. Now, if we want a color, we could throw a color in there. If we want normal, it'd give us white or whatever color we chose in the back color here, which is below, right? So if I chose, let's see, I don't know, this color, cream or whatever it is, I could put any color I want back there. I could put an orange if I wanted, but we're going to leave it as transparent, meaning that we don't want to see anything back there. Then the border style should be transparent as well, and it is. So with that, right now it's at hairline, but if we wanted this to be solid, and then we wanted to add a color or how many points to it, you can see what happens. You can see what happens. It's not really great, but you can design, and there's a lot of ways to do that. We're going to get into that at some point. But let's see, it's 4 point right now, so we're going to bring it down to 1, and then we're going to stay from solid to transparent. All right, so let us take a quick look now in Form View. And there we see it, Books Data Entry. Now you notice this goes all the way over, right? Go to Design View. And there's a reason why it's going all the way over, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to move our slider all the way over here. And let's see. We are going to, let's close this and call this form FRM data entry main. All right, we're going to, whoops, let me rename that. I don't know if it'll let me, but let's get the A to be a lowercase. All right. Go back to design view. Right, so here's the thing here. The way these forms are set up, they're tabbed. And I can't get over when I'm in a tabbed view. Well, I don't know exactly how that's achieved, but it's very different looking than what you would normally see. So let's see if I can do it this way. No, that just changes my that just changes my navigational pane. Not good there, right? Let's see. So my experience here would be we have this going all the way out, and so what we're going to do here, we're going to go to File and our Options into the current database, and see where it says Tabbed Windows and Display Document Tabs. We're going to go to Overlapping Windows. We're going to click OK. It's going to tell me I must save it and close it and open it back up. I don't know Y tabbed is, we're going to right click and go to design view. And now what you see is something totally different, right? You actually see that I can drag this over, which I couldn't do before. And you see I have my, what's called a control box, my maximize, my minimize. Can minimize it, right? I can maximize it, right? And I can close it with the X as well. I don't know why it did that with the, oh, okay. And I can close it with the X, right? So, and now as you see here, go back to design view. You see here that I dragged this in, right? And you're going to notice you have a little border here at the end of this. You really kind of want to bring this in just to overlap it enough. Um, and now let's go to our form view again. You're going to notice we have some things that we see here. One of them is, we said, the record selector here. And the other one is the navigational controls here. Now nothing is populating, and it should be pretty much apparent because there's nothing in there. Okay. Go to design view, right click on and go to properties, and in our form, we're going to look at this here. Now both of these are enabled, both of the scroll bars, right? Oops, sorry, it's been max. Where are we? Scroll bars. Hang on. You should see that for scroll as well. Yeah, here it is. Scroll bars both, right here. We're going to take them off. Neither. Okay, control box, we don't need that either. We're going to say no. Come on. And close button, which is at X, we don't want that either. And by the way, you're going to learn how to disable that in your main navigational form so nobody, or so somebody can close access down without actually exiting in a proper way. Min-max buttons, we're going to have none. Movable, we'll leave it as yes. And the rest of them I wouldn't worry too much about. We're not going to really talk too much about them today. So, let's see. Let's see. Right, so we're going to hit save. Now, and we're going to X out of our properties. Now here, it looks like nothing's changed. But when you come over here to form view, you see you lost that up here. We still have our record selector and we have our navigational controls. So we're going to go back into our design view. We forgot those two, which is fine. Properties. So let's see. Our navigational, let's go to record selector right here. We don't want that. No. And we don't want our navigational buttons. Now you may ask, wait a minute, how do I scroll through records? Well, you can create your own navigational buttons if you want, and it works out fine. I'll show you how that kind of works. So, and then we're going to go back in here again and go to our form view, and wow. So now we're only seeing the top thing that mentions the form name. What if we didn't want to see that? There's a little trick. We're going to go into our form view again. Sorry, our design view for our form. Hello, properties. And we're going to come to our, let's see, border. Right now it's sizable, meaning I can increase or decrease the size of the border. I'll show you that for a minute. Now, why you'd want to do that, I don't know. Let's see. Yep, so you can increase or decrease it from here or from here. It's not something I like. I'd rather keep people in the real estate that they require. So we're going to come back. You have some options on the border. Okay. You have dialog, which means it's not sizable, but it comes up as a small dialog box. the smallest it can be for the size of the controls that are there. Thin means it's thin, and this none is the one that's interesting. No border, and we'll see what happens with that. And you can see the result. And there we have it. It looks like we can't do anything with this, right? Um, so we're going to come over to Design View. And now we're going to add at the top here, this is right here, this is a text box. We're going to add one. You see the wizard brings us in. Now, I'm going to drag this over. And the anchors here, you can move them by themselves, by the anchors, these gray anchors, and set them up the way you want. These two controls, by the way, are linked. And I'll show you why. So we're going to write in here, title. And let's see if we got that right. Okay. Ooh. Let's try that again. Okay. Here, we're going to right click on here, go to properties, and well, let's go to the, actually, you can always click on any control and go to its properties. So we're going to go to the label first, and this is going to be LBL title. And as you can see, the caption is title for it. Hit save if you want, or you should. Come back here and you'll notice that the label name is right there for the control, so for this control. We're going to call this TXT and title. So we can name it uniquely, and then under data, we're going to put this as title. All right. You say, well, wait a minute, you forgot one. You're right, I did. I forgot the ISBN. That's okay. And we're going to take this as it's selected and we're going to move it down. As you move it down, you can use an arrow key or the control, control arrow. It'll go really slow. We're going to move this down right there. And then we're going to control and drag away. Let's see if we got this right. Can we do it? No, we can't. So we'll right click on this and go copy. Then we're going to control V to paste it, drag it down. So we've just copied a control. You right click, you copy, you right click, you paste, or you can control C it and control V it. Here, we're going to put this in here, properties under that one. And this is now label, and you notice we started with like 2. Now we're at label 4, but we're going to go LBLISBN. Its caption will be IS, and you can do that in here. Come on. ISBN, which is good. Okay. We're going to go here, and we're going to go TXT, ISBN. And our control, we have to point it to the ISBN field. There's 2. So what's left really in here are year, publisher, and let's see, we have the all the other foreign keys in here. So what we're going to do is we can then control copy again. I think we should still have it in. Let's see if it'll, yeah, control paste rather, not copy. Bring it down again here. Now you may say you're going through a lot to do this. The answer is yeah, I am, but I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm creating as I do it. So here was LBL, year, and of course year. I forgot one thing here, the colon. And over here, this will be TXT year, right? And let's see, we need to point it to the year. All right, good. To the year. Good. So let us save this for a moment. Let us go to Form View and see what we're seeing here. And sure enough, we're seeing it populate, right? Now you notice that the year is all the way to the right. Raven is highlighted, and the question is why? Well, when we get to that in a minute, go to Design View. We're going to right-click in here. And rather than go to Properties, we're going to go to Tab Order. Now, you can set controls to allow them to tab. Let me show you what that looks like. Right-click on a control, Properties, and if we go to Other, Tab Stop says yes. On the tab index you see here is 1. Here it's what? 0, and here it is 2. That's why this is highlighting first. Um, we're going to change this here. We're going to go right-click again, go to Tab Order, and here you see it. So we're going to move ISBN up, then title, then year. Click OK. Now when we go to ISBN, we should have changed its tab stop number. We didn't. The index was the same. So let's see if we go back to our tab order. Did it change it? And it did not. So we have to click OK, and that's one of the things we didn't do. You click OK. Let's go back in and make sure it saved that change in tab order. And it did. Now, let us look at, see if it changed the tab number on it. Properties, and it did. It's now 0. Okay, that's what it does. So now if we go in here and we look at our form view, we see that the first thing we're at is the ISBN, and it's highlighted, which is unusual because that means that, and you see we're scrolling through records, all right? And we're going to talk about later why that's doing that. Before we do that, I want to finish up for today because I know we're running on time. But there's somewhat different ways to do this. We could copy and paste and change the field here to a combo box. We need a combo box for our next one, but let's not do that. So if we highlight here, we're at combo. Let's see what happens when we highlight it. Let's bring it in. It's going to bring in our wizard. And again, the wizard says I want the combo to get values from another table or query. Or I will type them in, which is an option you have. You can type a static list of ones in or find a record on my form based on the value. Let's see what happens with the first one, which is really what we want. We want publishers. And let's bring everything over. Well, we don't need to bring everything over. Well, we don't. Let's go back. We really don't need to do that. Let's just bring everything over and bring the first 2 here, which is only what we really need. Okay. And the ID and the publisher. Have the publisher name ascending, that's fine. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, this is what it would look like, and we finish. So it's unbound, okay? It's unbound. And you notice I'm going to drag my control over here through my anchor. You notice it's called field pub here because that's what it calls it with the wizard. Again, the wizard is terrible. So we're going to call this one LBL pub. Oh, wait a minute. And we're going to call this one publisher. All right. And looks like we're going to need to move some of this over to see the whole thing. Yeah. And here, you can see our labels there. This is going to be CBO publisher. or pub, whatever your fancy, whatever your desire. We go to the data portion of this, and you'll notice it's a select query, which is fine because we don't need to have to. Let's open it up and see what it looks like. And there you can see. Now, if we wanted to know how it would look, we right click or we go from view to data sheet and you would have this, which is fine. The control source for this one, because we're picking up a publisher ID, should be pub foreign key. Now, to this effect, right? This should probably be in a subform. We're not going to get into subforms today, but it should be. The other part of this is, if you remember, our bound column is our first one. We have two column counts, and look what it did. Remember, I had done this for you. It automatically blanks out the first column. So let us save this. Go to Form View, and now you can see here what we're looking at. Now, we could change the publisher. Nothing stops us from doing that. However, my experience is, or the way I develop, if I'm showing the end user information, I am not going to have it editable unless they want to make a change, a deliberate course of action. And one other thing we didn't get to was this here, the year. Go to Design View. We're going to select 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to go to our, actually, I think it's under Format. No, it's not. Arrange. Nope. Form Design. No, it's got to be under Home. Sometimes you find them in different locations. We're going to bring this over here, clicking the left. Now we go to Form View, and everything is now put in the right place. But we're not in data entry here. All right, we're not. So one of the things here is that you would want the end user to see all of the entries maybe in the books table and be able to then add an entry to something. So that's one way of thinking about it. When I design databases, and I'm going to show you what data entry looks like here. If I go to Design View, Properties, Data, and I say data entry is yes, and then I say allow additions is, yeah, that's fine. Allow deletions, we're going to say no. Allow edits. Whoop, I think I hit the wrong one there. No on deletions, yes on edits. And filtering, nah, don't worry about filtering. We don't need to have that. So what do you think is going to happen when I open up this form? I'm in data entry, yes. Well, let's take a look. I'm in a blank record. Now here's the catch on this. The catch is that I'll be editing a new record in the books table, and I don't want that. So we're going to go from close. All right. And what we're going to do here, tables, to close this out for today, we're going to create a table. We're going to go to table design, and we're going to go field ISBN, field title. Get that right? Hang on a minute. All right. Field year. That's a number. And FK. Or you could name it whatever you want. You could put field, since it's not a foreign key, in truth, you could put publisher ID, and that's also a number. And we're going to save this. Oh yes, and we're going to call this table or table um, books data entry and temp. No primary field. We don't need to worry about the primary key field. Why? Well, because we don't have one. All right. This is temp books author. So let me get rid of this. I don't know why it's even here. I don't want to confuse you. We don't need it. There's nothing in it. So anyway, table books temp. If we open it up, we see the fields that are there. Now, we go to our form. Go to design view. We're almost done for today. Properties, and instead of query book DE, that one, the temp, we're going to save it, and we're going to come into our form view. And you can see here, now it's throwing 0 in as a default because it's picking it up from the table temps table. I'm going to right click and close here. And let's go. We don't need to worry too much about that, but let us design view. And under year, its default is not 0. Let's leave it blank. That's why it's doing that. So you know, go to forms. All right, so now here is a very different, very different thing. And what we can say here is we can have all of this stuff frozen, have a command button that says add a book, or we can leave it like this and just have the user add a book. So let's see. We'll put that in. The title will be, I don't know. No. Brave New World. A year, 19, let's say 40 or 23. I don't know. And then the publisher will pick out publisher. Now it's saying to me I can't because it's bound. It is bound to something. So we're going to right click, go to design view. I think I have it bound to the wrong, and you can see the error there. Have it bound to the wrong control source. It wouldn't change it. So we go to field PID. Right? Interesting thing to see that you should see. And notice they're still in here. Now I can pick up my publisher, put it in, and hit enter, and I'm in the next record. Now you wouldn't do that. Again, let us now go to the temp table. And now the record is now staged to be added to books, the books table, right? We could add it and there'd be nothing wrong with that, all right? How we do that, that's a whole thing to do with VBA code. So we have our book title, we have our year, and we have our publisher ID. All right, so this is a way, and by the way, just to show you, if I close this down, right click and close it. The only way I can do it, I don't have the, yeah, save that, save the changes. Now we come to table, not table books, I'm sorry, form, the form of books data entry. We'll probably come to a new record, and we do, because it is in data entry mode. Now I want to show you something for a moment. Close it. Design view. We're on the right click there. We're in data entry as yes. If we say no to data entry and we go to view, it's going to populate the first record in there. If I hit enter, I'm going to go to the next record. Now, I can come back with my arrow key. Now, one other thing before we close. We come to other key. Notice we're cycling through all records. I have options here. I can have the current record or the current range. Let's see what happens with the current record. It won't move to the next record, right? So what I would do here is I would open this form. I would allow a user to enter a record. When they come to the end of it, when they commit it, I would save that record and go to the next record for a new record. That's one way to do it. And you'll see it as we go on. So if you're dealing with data entry, however, as I say, one of the better ways to do this, and we'll see it, will be having a data entry portion on one side of the form and seeing the records currently in there on another side. And this really can be a main form. This is fine. What do you do now for your city, state kind of things? Do you need to worry about that for publisher? The answer is no, because here we have that information already in this table. We're only linking to the publisher. If you want to see it, if you do, you can put in a subform. We're going to see that too. The author's one will be a little bit trickier, but we're going to see that. All right. And you could do that. So right now we're going to stop. Please like and subscribe. This is our starting introductory to forms. We really went to, in this case, we saw about adding data, editing data. Oh boy, I'm bad with my. We didn't delete anything. We displayed some data too. And we saw the different ways you can do that. Now, without VBA, you don't have the automation capability. You just don't. It's one of these things that you can do things with macros and things, but macros are very poor. They aren't very good. And they can't be used for repetitive, really repetitive processes. Because what happens is, in a repetitive process, you need to access the code again and again and again. And I don't want to sign in here. And we don't want to do that. We want to be able to access the code as we need it. So pardon me for the yawn, a little bit long day here. But anyway, to sum up here, when we come back, we're going to look at this particular database. Okay. We're going to polish this. We're going to have one side for data entry and another side for displaying the data that's currently there. And we're going to then, we can't really refresh it. I don't want to give you a VBA code yet. So what we're going to do is once we add the record, we're going to then close. We're going to go through the process manually. So we're going to then delete the data from the temp table, close the form, or close the form, delete the table from the temp table, open up the form again to see it repopulated, which is the process by which VBA code is actually going to do it. It's not going to do it that way directly. What it will do is it'll programmatically add the record. It'll clear the temp table to clear any records out of it. It'll update the main form to show the new data that's added and so on. So anyway, like and subscribe, and please stay with me for video 2 when we get to that in forms. Wherever you are, have a great day, evening, morning, whatever it is. Enjoy.